Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr from Lansing in Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. Pope Francis has landed in Hungary for a 3-day pastoral visit. Speaking prior to the Pope's arrival, the Vatican's Secretary of State, Cardinal Parolin, says he hopes the papal visit to Hungary will demonstrate the Holy Father's commitment to building up a more peaceful, fraternal society in a Europe wounded by the Russia-Ukrainian war. At present, the region has been experiencing its greatest refugee crisis since the Second World War. Hungary and Ukraine share an 85-mile border. Pope Francis has visited Hungary once previously. That was in 2021 when he attended the International Eucharistic Congress in Budapest. Meanwhile, Hungary's State Secretary for the Aid of Persecuted Christians says that Europe is facing an identity crisis. In an exclusive interview with Shalom World ahead of the arrival of Pope Francis to his country, Tristan Azbej warns that Christian values are facing attacks, including being pushed aside in Europe.
We see that those Christian values, the foundations of our culture and civilization, based on which the whole European culture was built, those have been attacked, those have been censored, they have been pushed aside. There are new ideas who are trying to act against, like the wokeism and other very anti-Christian, in many cases anti-Christian ideologies, who are becoming more and more totalitarian.
Mr. Azbej calls for a rediscovery of Christian values across the continent. He also reiterates that Christianity is the most persecuted religion in the world. During his interview with Shalom World, the State Secretary recalls the initiatives launched by Hungarian President Viktor Orban's government to help persecuted Christians around the globe. He also expresses hope that the Pope's visit will help revitalise the Christian faith in Hungary. A new study claims that Russia is, quote, weaponizing religion in its fight with Ukraine and is persecuting churches within the Ukrainian territories it now occupies. The report by the US-based Institute for the Study of War, or ISW, chronicles at least 76 alleged instances of religious persecution by Russian military authorities in Ukraine since its invasion of the country began in February 2022. ISW say that the Ukrainian Orthodox Church is the main target of Russian harassment and accounts for nearly 34% of all documented incidents of persecution. Meanwhile, Ukraine's Prime Minister has asked Pope Francis to help bring back Ukrainian children who have been forcibly deported to Russia. Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal had a 30-minute private meeting with the Pope at the Vatican on Thursday. He also met with the Vatican's Secretary of State, Cardinal Parolin, and the Vatican's Foreign Minister, Archbishop Paul Galliker. The Ukrainian government estimates that almost 19,500 children have been taken to Russia or Russian-occupied Crimea since Moscow invaded Ukraine in February 2022. Russia, however, denies abducting children, claiming they were taken away for their safety. The United States is expressing concern over ceasefire violations in war-torn Sudan. The US State Department says it believes that breaches of the ceasefire are occurring, even though Sudan's two warring factions have pledged to extend a ceasefire deal by 72 hours starting on Friday. The East African country has been witness to internal conflict for the past fortnight between the nation's army and a paramilitary group known as the Rapid Support Forces. Previously, both sides had cooperated in the overthrow of Sudan's civilian government in October 2021. Now, however, they are embroiled in a struggle for control of the country. The United States says the situation in Sudan could worsen at any moment and is now urging US citizens to leave the country. Two teachers from California are suing school authorities over new policies which they claim require them to hide a student's intention to present themselves as the opposite sex from their parents. The legal action by teachers Elizabeth Mirabelli and Laurie Ann West is being taken against the Escondido Union School District and California State Board of Education. They say both bodies are violating their First Amendment rights to religious liberty by compelling teachers to aid a student's so-called social transitioning. Under the policy, says the lawsuit, teachers must refer to students by their preferred personal pronouns or gender-specific names during school hours, but revert to biological pronouns and legal names when speaking with parents. They also claim that the policies compel teachers not to inform parents of the actions or intentions of their child. Meanwhile, a judge in Missouri has temporarily halted new statewide rules aimed at protecting gender-confused young people from being prescribed puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. St. Louis County Circuit Judge Ellen Rabodo has halted the implementation of the new rules, putting them on hold until at least Monday. The delay comes after the opponents of the new measures filed a lawsuit stating that the state's Republican Attorney General, Andrew Bailey, lacks the jurisdiction to implement such regulations under consumer protection law. The bishops of Argentina say a visit by Pope Francis to his homeland would be a balm for wounded people. The Argentinian bishops are currently meeting in the capital city of Buenos Aires. In a letter issued to the Pope, who used to be the Archbishop of Buenos Aires, the bishops share their excitement about the possibility of Pope Francis visiting their country sometime next year, stating that such a visit would be a bridge between political shores and distant ideologies. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan says the political and economic turmoil in the country is having a serious impact on the nation's human rights situation. According to their new State of Human Rights report for 2022, escalating threats to freedom of religion or belief remain a grave concern in Pakistan. The report claims that while the number of police reports of blasphemy charges against Islam fell last year, the incidences of mob lynching appears to have risen across Pakistan. Finally, May is the month of Mary, and thousands of Catholics from over 150 cities across 5 continents have confirmed their participation in the latest global men's rosary, which is set to take place on May the 6th. Meanwhile, the pontifical charity Aid to the Church in Need is calling on all Portuguese people to pray the rosary throughout the month of May. They say the rosary initiative is intended to foster peace across the world. Ave Maria. Well, that's your latest headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also join us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.